Okay, thanks for coming along. As usual, we have some who have not turned up, but it's a nice day in it, and the pub's calling. You and I had that experience on Tuesday afternoon.
Kenny, nice experience on Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah. Kenny and I took coaching and mentoring to a new level.
We decided that enough fucks had been given that day.
That's it.
So we went to the golf driving range and then for a beer.
Driving range and we went for a beer. That's the way to do it. Okay. So, I've got an opportunity for you. I've been asked to speak at the UK Construction Week event at the NEC at the beginning of October, and they say it'd be really good if I can bring a client along who can talk about their experience as a subcontractor.
I think
I love the way everybody all Teflon shoulders off, right? Now, just to give you a bit of a headline, this is the type of stuff I'm going to talk about, which is, and when I go to networking events and stuff, and people ask us, like what we do, I say we exist to help people who are living in the world of, I know shit flows downhill, why am I living in the valley? And the main reason that you're living in the valley is because you've got the main contractors over here and your site operatives and staff over here all raining problems down on you. Mainly because, in the case of the site operatives and subcontractors, they don't want to make a decision, they'd rather ask you and know the answer themselves. And also that not making money, I can't make any money on this job, you need to give me some more. Because I've been getting to site at 8:30 and leaving at 2:30, but still taking the whole day off it. And then on the other side, you've got your main contractors and your site and lettings manager talking about the same stuff, but saying that, I don't know where you guys are, where the hell have they gone? You say, well actually, I don't know, they should be on site. And when you talk to you guys, say, oh no, we're on site, we just weren't where they thought we were. And so one of the things I want to do at this event is I want to make people to stand up and take notice that actually the industry has real problems, and the ones who have been affected are the SME subcontractors at the bottom. So I'm going to be a bit controversial. I'm talking to a guy about how we can animate this so that it becomes and he's talking about, do we make this bit just look brown? Okay? It's kept paper. So there's an opportunity, but if anybody hasn't been to a construction network, this is kind of what we do and try to do on a day-to-day basis, even if it's on driving range, pretending that the little white ball is somebody's head. That can be just as good as anything else. You'd love that, Mark, wouldn't you?
Oh,
yeah. You could think of a different head for every ball. Yeah. So I mean, have a think about it, because it's an opportunity for you to raise the profile of your little business at a national conference, if that's what you want to do. Okay. So we all know what the aims are. Develop a community of tradespeople where we can all help each other, and so have that kind of community between the trades guys, between suppliers and experts, so that you can get access and you can get help that you need. Okay. As I say, I think it's different. When I went to Brand Yorkshire last week and met Richard Norman. Anybody know Richard Norman? I met him. But it was all right, but we do things kind of differently, because he was quite interested in the fact that we have a video. Everybody can go on the members site and look at the videos again and again and again and again. And also the amount of free stuff that's on there that you can get your hands on if you want it, that you can only go and access it. And if there's things there that you want that aren't on there, if you let us know, we'll go and find them for you and we'll put them on there. Okay. So I'm going to hand you over to Simon. Simon's going to talk to you about procurement. I think it carries on from what we've talked about. We've talked about how we price, we've talked about how we look after, how we manage our contracts, and we understand what's on there. We've talked about tendering with Joe and Twice to talk about public sector and private sector tendering. But what tends to happen is we kind of always lose like some margin on the jobs. Simon's a procurement expert who's got some really good hints and tips in terms of how you can try and save some internal savings and save some cash. So if I hand over to you now, Simon, is that all right?
that's perfect, mate.
Maybe that. Just move this over.
For having me along to your network. But we should have done it outside. We might have got more people or not, because if it was beer and driving range, I would have been up for that if it had been suggested, because my handicap's gone from 28 to 24 in the last 3 months. through smacking heads on the driving range. So I thoroughly recommend it. So yeah, I'm not going to give you death by PowerPoint, but conscious that as this is going to be recorded and put onto the website, I needed to have something to refer back to. So I'll go through this and firstly tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about what procurement is and see how many people actually truly understand what procurement is. Because I must admit, when I first started doing this about 30 years ago, I thought, what's procurement? Jamie, you said that earlier. Some people don't really understand truly what it is, what it's about. A little bit of background about me and the company that I work for and own, and then talk about your options when it comes to procurement. The process that a business should follow when it comes to procurement. Some of the indirect product categories, I say some of them, because if you listed everything, we'd be here all day. Subcategories of subcategories of subcategories. So it's a specific category, information and advice, so you can do it for yourself and hand this on to people in your team without outsourcing it. And then I've got a discussion point, which I think I probably want to spend more time actually on than everything else, because it's a concept that I've got, that I've been working on, that I want to actually potentially introduce for the construction network, or maybe CRTV in general, for the construction business anyway. And then we'll do questions and then go for a pint. Yeah?
Good to me.
Right, so does anyone want to go straight to questions in the pint, or should we go through it?
Don't give them that option.
So who knows what procurement is? That's gone, so you can't see it and read
Acquisition.
it. There you go. It's quite simple. Some people don't know really what it is, and some people confuse it with just being a buyer and just buying something. It's not just buying something, because the most important thing about the acquiring of goods and services is making sure you acquire the right goods and services for your business at the right time, so they're delivered to the right place on the best terms to suit you as a business owner, not your customer and not the supplier. That's really, really key, is choosing the right people to work with. Would everyone say that they were fully aware with that, and were they more buying? No?
That's what I said. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so a bit of background about Synergy and a bit of credibility of why I'm here. I've been working in the business services sector for 30 years now. This is where you say you don't look old enough, so we're doing it for 30 years. No? Okay, we'll go with it then. So 30 years ago I started working for an international company, £500 million, as a salesperson. My job was to win contracts with customers across Europe for business supply services and products. I ended up winning contracts for the likes of Unilever, Oracle, Kodak, P&O and various other countries. And that job then migrated from being a new business salesperson into an account director to solve the problems. So Unilever would come to me and say, Simon, we've got a problem, we need this, we need it in 26 countries, in 10 different plants, help. And it might have been as simple as we need a desktop printer, we need 3,000 of them, help. I would then have to go find the right supplier of that printer, be it Hewlett Packard or Xerox or someone like that, and then arrange the logistics for the delivery, the service and the maintenance, the toner and so on and so forth. I did this for various categories for many, many years, which is where I got the experience of how to assess and understand what a functional requirement is of a business, to truly analyse what is required from an organisation. The negotiation skills came from learning who the top people are from the corporate director point of view in all of the main manufacturers and suppliers across Europe. Synergy, as you see there, we're a group of cost management specialists. We've got clients throughout the UK, but the key to using Synergy is threefold really, because I'm sure that everyone I meet in this room is clever enough to do what I do, because it isn't actually rocket science. There's a big factor that people use us for is through lack of time that they have on a daily basis. I haven't met a client that sits around at 4 o'clock on the afternoon twiddling their thumbs thinking, what shall I do now for the rest of the day? There's always a pile of tasks and a pile of jobs that need doing they don't get round to. But the one big thing that we bring to the party is combined volumes to increase buying power. And that's something that the small businesses that we work with really, really enjoy. If you're buying electricity and you use 10,000 kilowatts of electricity per year, you're going to get a commercial rate from a small broker that might be 15p per unit. We work as an aggregator and go to the energy companies with the combined buying power of all of our clients for the previous year, which means we did 12 gigawatts of energy, which means we were averaging a rate of around 9.2p last year. So what I'm trying to get across there is using someone like us gives you increased buying power, which you can then turn on as a small business. As you can see, the savings are phenomenal, 6.5 million, and we charge on an outsourced basis. As you can see, percentage of saving or as a fixed monthly subscription. But I'm not here to pitch my services, but that's just in the background. So, when it comes to procurement, what do you think your options are? You're looking at me, go on. What are your options?
Establish the market, whatever you need. So, for example, you need telecommunication services. Go out there and
stepping back from that, there's the options are. Let's put them up. Do you ignore it and just carry on as you are? So you always do what you've always done. Buy from your current suppliers, be it a friend from the golf club, be it the supplier that just happened to be knocking on the door in the right place. Outsource it to someone like me, an outsourced procurement company, or you manage it internally with either your existing staff or by bringing in a specialist into your team as an existing staff. They're the three options as I see it. Most people do the top one or the bottom one. More and more people ignore it because they don't have the time to do it. They see their indirect costs as insignificant within the business and spend their time driving sales to increase profit. Does everybody know their net revenue margin percentage? So how much they make per job?
It depends. It alters between different jobs.
Yeah. But if it's like general, if you said you're going to get £100,000 piece of work, do you think your net profit, you'd know approximately there or thereabouts, it'd be 6%, 7%, whatever it might be? And you take into account your costs for that job, so how much your material is going to cost, your labour is going to cost, and so on. So if you think your profit margin on that is say 6%, if we found a way to actually reduce your costs for your materials and so on by another say 4 or 5%, that would increase your profit on that job to make it 10%. So what we add value to do is actually try and increase your profits by reducing your costs and overheads in a clever way, because that's a much easier way of increasing revenue rather than tendering and winning jobs that you might not win. I don't know if you agree or whether you've looked at that. That's what we do. We try and increase profits. Everything about procurement is to increase value to you as an organisation. Managing turning with existing staff, that's where I'm going to focus on today. Is because if you've got a team of people that are capable of doing it, that have got time, this isn't rocket science, as I say. You still actually just have to plan for what you're doing. So I'm going to go through about 10 categories and give you some hints and tips and the process on it, and I'll answer any questions on that. So if we move on to the process, this is where, in a day on you were, it's Dave, isn't it?
Yeah.
You were doing exactly what this process is decide which categories within your spend you need to focus on. Most people understand from their accounts where their costs are. How closely do you drill down your accounts? Do you put all your overheads in one code, or do you split the nominals out?
Ours varies. Again,
Yeah.
every job's different.
Yeah. So what we encourage people to do from an accounting point of view, we look at that, is to decide where you should focus your energies. It should be in the areas that you spend the most amount of money in to start with. But a lot of organisations put direct costs, so the costs for your materials, right at the top, and then indirect costs into a dump code nominal. So 4002 or something like that. Everything that isn't a direct cost, put it in there. and we won't worry about it because it's incidental. It might only equate to maybe 8-9% of your total cost, so we'll put it in there. And that's where it gets ignored, and because it isn't specialised on, you lose money. Because the suppliers in these particular indirect categories know that most people ignore it or don't pay as much attention on it as they should. So what do? They margin munch, that's what I call it. It's another word for ripping people off, but they will put more margin in it than they would if it was a tender, because they know you will probably just make a decision based on what you've always done. I say people in the room here might be different to this, but that's generally what I found from my 30 years. So, decide which categories, list them in order of priority, and then split them out. So, if you've got 4 members of staff that could potentially do this work, and there's 8 categories, give them 2 each. Give your best member of staff the 2 most important, and go on down there, and then allocate it. The most important thing is, control it yourself as the owner or director of the business, but don't do it yourself. Your time is more valuable. Use the staff correctly. Give them the projects, bring them in, spend half an hour, spend an hour with them a week, or what have you, and let them know where you are. You control it, but let them do the work. Your time's too valuable. So once you've allocated it, manage it over the year. So you don't have to look at multiple procurement projects every week. Friday afternoon, when we should be going down the driving range, you've got all of your staff coming to you talking about 8 different things. Split out the reviews so that if you have got 8 categories, you do 1 a month. So you're talking about it. So you've only got 1 project to look at a month, and then you've got some leeway in there for holidays throughout the year. Don't do it at your year end, don't do it in January, don't do it in December, and have a holiday month. Split it out like that, so you're doing it bit by bit. But if you've got a contract in place, and that means extending it or shortening it, got a 13-month contract in place or a 9-month contract in place, get it in line so that you control the business and you control that procurement process. Does that make sense? Is that right? See that one. Now this is where you teach your member of staff. The first thing to do is establish your current situation, which if you've got one supplier supplying all your products and services, it's quite easy. You get them to provide you with management information and report on service levels. More often than not, it will be you've got multiple suppliers. So you might buy your electricity for each of your sites from a different person, you might buy your logistics from 10 different carriers and so on. In which case, to establish it, you need to get copies of the invoices, pull them together, create a database, and then list the requirements. Now this current situation is how much you've bought and how much you've paid for it, but it's also what service levels you're getting from these people. So if you need to have goods delivered to site, do you have free 10 delivery, free 8 delivery, free 12 delivery, what is it? You need to make sure it's there and you establish that. Because when you're paying for something, the delivery costs have to be taken into account, and carriers charge more for timed deliveries and so on. So establish your requirements, reports or analysis from invoices, and then define your business requirements. Once you've sat down with your member of staff and looked at this, turn around and think, okay, well I'm getting next day delivery here. Do I need next day delivery? Or would it be better or acceptable to have within 3 days? Or if you're getting delivery within 3 days, would it be better to get it next day? Establish from a business point of view what's going to truly add value and be right for your business. Research and select suppliers. You can Google that relatively simply nowadays to find suppliers in the right areas. Get them to make a quick phone call. We're tendering for the business. We're part of the group and we've got a relevant amount of spend. Would you be interested? You're going to get several salespeople in these areas that be interested. Then create a basic tender request for proposal out to the suppliers, which I'm sure you've got templates for requests for proposals on your website. Send that out, analyse the responses, choose your supplier, negotiate the terms. But then the most important thing is review it every quarter to make sure the supplier hasn't changed what they promised you, is invoicing you correctly, and see if there's any opportunities to ask for improved commercial terms if your volumes have increased.
Can I just actually say something? Something that I saw on kind of WhatsApp this week. Gav put a thing on about fuel cards.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anybody in here uses like fuel cards, because one thing he finds is now on to setting funds at the start, it's a good deal,
Yeah.
but then they sort of kind of lull you into a false sense of
It's
security.
contract life cycle.
Yeah.
Fuel plant suppliers are one of the worst. I'm being videoed, so I won't say too much about some of the companies I know. But what I call a contract life cycle is that when organisations are trying to win business, they start their prices down here. This is virtually zero margin. So you look at it and you think, oh, this is fantastic, this is really good. And then what they do is they think the contract's going to last for about 3 years or 2 years, whatever it is, and they go like this. And they increase the margin, increase it up here. And they get to a plateau where they think this is the maximum margin we can get. And then as it gets to the end of the contract, they bring the margin back down again. And they get it down to this level. So it's not zero, but it's there. So when you tender it, or do a little bit of a check, their margin is acceptable against the market. So you think, they're doing a fair enough job, we'll stick with it. It's this bit here, the big hump where they make lots of money, that when you're doing your contract negotiation, is make sure you actually control what they're doing ongoing from a price increase point of view. That's what we're doing all the time when we're negotiating terms. But because I've got 30 years experience of working in these industries, I know the tricks that they use and how they do it, so I know how to negotiate with them. And to be honest, because I've been doing it so long, I go to these suppliers, they know they can't pull the wool over my eyes because I'm going to catch them, so they don't bother. So we get fixed firm pricing for contracts. But yeah, you're absolutely right, fuel card companies do that, office supplies companies do that, energy companies do it as well. If they tell you it's a fixed term contract, but they say in the terms and conditions, excluding government charges, with a DUOS which goes up and down dependent on the supply and demand of the oil and capacity charges. Lots of them do that.
I think what Gav was saying as well was that he ended up, once they analysed it, he was paying far more than the price at the pump was.
We do that before. Bob used to check every week, religiously, and he'd argue, toss with him.
Yeah.
I would want Bob over that.
I saw you write something down there, yeah, it's good. But that's the point. Review every quarter, maybe every week, depending on the commodity, but check. Because they rely on you being too busy and forgetting about it. If you haven't got the people that can do it, find someone that can do it. Okay, these are some of the categories. As I say, I could have put 2 or 3 slides up there, but I didn't want to bore you, because let's face it, these categories are boring. Buying these things is boring. Telecoms, mobiles, stationery, printing, photocopiers, franking machines, post, credit cards, corporate banking, fleet, insurance, gas, electricity, water. There's some of the categories that we work with all of the time. There's others as time goes on. Fixed line telecom is more and more voice over IP telecom nowadays, because British telecom lines are changing to more fibre internet lines. I don't know how you all work. I'm going to just run through very quickly some just basic tips to follow on these to give to your team. If there's any questions, just shout them out as we go along. Happy to answer them. Fixed line telecoms, as I say, consider voice over IP.
Does everybody understand what that is?
I'll explain it.
Yeah.
Voice over internet protocol. So instead of using an old copper line, you use your internet line to transmit calls. So you connect to the internet, then there's a server somewhere in this company where your calls are just directed through that way. It's a much quicker way of doing it. It's a much cheaper way of doing it. But the telecom companies are wise to that, and they still try and charge you cost per minute for the calls. There is no cost per minute. They're just making money out of you. They try and charge you half a p to make a call by voice over IP. They're making half a p profit, because the calls are included. You have to pay a monthly rental to have a voice over IP line, but you don't have to pay for calls. You may have to for international calls outside of the general network, but general local calls and some mobile calls should be included within the package. Yeah, okay, and you can have multiple lines, multiple sections there. Our premium rate numbers, so often we get this, these premium rate numbers and use of mobile phones abroad. Yeah, you get 118, 118, great advert, but why are you paying £2.47 to ring up and get a phone number you can Google for nothing? Yeah, we see it. Every time we do analysis, we see it. Like people quibble about a line rental for £1, and then you see about £30 worth of charges for silly things like that. You know, people voting on X Factor. You see it all the time. All these people, bar them. It's easy enough to do. Bar the numbers. Mobiles. This is more about making sure fit for purpose. So often I go and I'm asked to look at a mobile contract, and they say we've got a problem with it because 4 of the users can't get any coverage because the boss lives in the middle of a field in the middle of nowhere. And we go, well, didn't you check it before? No, Vodafone said it'd be fine. If you're going to take out a new mobile contract, get a list of your users, the postcode where they live, the postcode where they generally work, and ask your provider to do a coverage check and confirm that it will work. It's part of the contract. It's easy to do, they will all do it for nothing, and then you'll know. And if it turns around and says, Grant lives in a mansion in the middle of the forest, I think we all know if you've got a mansion somewhere, isn't it?
Castle.
Yeah, it's a castle now.
Yeah, I wish.
So he needs to have a special network set up. Yeah. So when he's on his yachts in the south of France, he needs a different network for
There's
that.
limited coverage in the West Tower, apparently.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, I've got to go in the green room to get any coverage whatsoever.
All I'm saying is understand what you need and make sure you get it, because it doesn't matter if it's £30 a month or £3,000 a month. If it don't work, it's a waste of money.
I was going to say, it's an interesting point for you guys, because you work all over the place. Is it an interest when you're asking them to ask them more for areas where it might not work?
Well, they tell you it can work anyway.
Yeah, that's right. But then at least they've told you that you can go back to them.
Yeah. They'll just bullshit you. You know, because they'll tell you, oh, it works everywhere. We know it doesn't.
You see, for construction companies I've worked in the past, individual networks won't necessarily tell you this, but you can get a multi-network SIM. Now, it's slightly more expensive, but it basically roams across all the... You have a primary network, so you'll pick Vodafone or EE or whatever it might be, but it actually works on all SIMs, all of the networks. So you'll always, if there's coverage in that area from anyone, you'll get coverage. And when you've got... We use this on construction, you know, Stonebridge projects, Stonebridge Homes, that's all. They've got sites all over, but when they set up the site for the first time, so the first site office porter cabin turns up, there's nothing. There's no cabling ground, there's nothing. So we get them a router with a multi-network SIM that gives them coverage, gives them internet coverage. It's only 4G coverage, it's not going to give you fast, but it works. So understanding the requirement, which I keep getting home, is really, really important. Understand the requirement, there are solutions out there. If you haven't got time to do it, find someone who can help you. Stationery, you probably, I don't know how much you buy in construction for stationery, office supplies, pens, pencils. I thought you spend huge amounts.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. We go through shed loads.
Really?
Yeah. One of my estimators, he's probably got a small forest on his desk.
Wow.
Yeah, my colony.
Right. In which case, I'll talk to you about this particular subject. There's 2 main distributors in this country of stationery, and they control the market through the channel, which goes down and down and down, and they're buying all of them. You don't need to pay a fortune. They're just like fuel card companies. I know when you're reading this office supplies company. Yeah. You just need to understand what you're buying. Don't let them use their tricks. Their tricks.
Rep's gorgeous though, you know.
Right, in which case send her over to me.
You can edit that.
We've got to have that then. We need that, yeah, we'll have that.
That's actually one of their tactics.
Yeah.
Works.
Yeah.
I wish you worked for me, to be honest. Yeah.
I was buying forklift trucks for a packaging company in Nottingham, and I got one guy came in, looked a bit like me, a little bit overweight, so he was a fat ugly guy. And then I've got a 28-year-old that looked like she spent her whole life on a Sunday in the gym, and like, how much were they? I've got no idea what she said. Yeah, but I obviously didn't. I bought from the short, fat, ugly guy because he reminded me of me. So. But yeah, you're right. It's one of the tactics. You buy people that you want to spend time with, and you're more likely to give an audience. But restrict your purchasing back to your desk. I totally forgot what I was talking about there as well. If this guy buys a forest, restrict what he can buy. Don't let them, when he rings up and says, I need a box of my paper that I've negotiated a decent price on, oh, I'm sorry, the supplier in Finland couldn't actually make that box this week, and we've got another one. He needs paper, so they supply it, it's 30% more than the one you agreed, straight away. Big trick, constantly do that all the time. Get a fixed purchasing list, plan for it, consider alternatives, but make sure all of those alternatives are on the list. So if you get one paper, get a backup on it. So one type of pen, get a backup and get it on your core list and fixed and review it. Trick is, oh, it's out of stock. Well, they've stopped making that, we need to change the contract line. Get it added to your fixed price list. Commercial printing. When I say use generic designs, I mean have your logo on the top, but don't then have your address, your phone number, your VAT number, your tax number, everything else written on it, because it changes. I go to so many businesses who've got boxes and boxes of paper that's got their old address on, or their own old postcode, or their own phone number. It changes. Use your logos, absolutely, get them printed on it, but everything else can be printed over it as part of your general software package, right? You get a general letter, you can put all that in, you can change it very easily. Best way, don't use it at all. I know your estimator uses everything, but you don't need to print nowadays. Email, PDF, use whatever tools and formats you can. Most people will accept it because of the environment, especially within the construction world. The environment, what you do and what you dispose and what you use, you can use the green card quite easily then. Photocopies and printers. Now, I bought thousands of these for Unilever and Kodak, and I met some salespeople in these areas. Boy, did I meet some salespeople. And you'll be really careful there with photocopying contracts. Yeah, I worked in the area for a long time. Only buy what you need, but be really careful that they don't send to the 28-year-old that used to work for the office supplies company. Yeah, really careful. When I say only buy what you need, if you only need to put black ink on paper, don't buy a colour machine, because they charge you 10 times more to print in colour than they do in black and white. If you don't need an A3 printer, buy an A4 one. Don't listen to the trick where they say, well, A3 is only a couple £100 more expensive, you may as well have it just in case things change. It's more expensive. There's more parts because it's bigger. It uses more electricity, so it's more expensive. It takes up more floor space. Only buy what you need. IT, techie here, set the drivers up so that they default to the most cost-effective way. If you are going to print in mono, print on both sides of the paper. Don't print emails. You can set it all up in the settings and the drivers. You print an email that's been pinged around 12 people, and if you wanted the first 3 lines of the email, how many times you get 12 pieces of paper when you wanted 1 line of email? Set it all up so it prints correctly. Do you do much postage, delivery? Same guy, same estimator?
Yeah, Mark's not so bad. No, it's rest on him. We've got 2 separate businesses and one we do quite a lot with, to be honest with you.
Okay, yeah, so lots of carriage, yeah? So there's postage and there's carriage. We've covered this in both areas. Understanding what you use, and then make sure that you actually do tender it. So if you, lots of people will either do small parcels or 2 kilo boxes, or then they'll go up to 10 kilos. Find a carrier, if necessary a consolidator, and set the pricing with them, arrange for the deliveries, but don't necessarily use the same carrier. If you've got what I call standard freight, which is a box or a package, then that's quite straightforward to find. If you use what I call ugly freight, which is a bit more complicated, be careful. There's not many out there that do it. Tucknells do it and a few others. But again, consult if you need be. Frankie machines for postage. It's easy to do. Hybrid mail is another way of doing it. Just research it and get it done. Anyone take credit cards in? Yeah? Okay. You're aware of the change last year of interchange charges across Europe?
No.
Okay. Has your rates gone up?
No.
Okay. Well, okay, because it's a tough one. If you take credit cards, Yeah, they charge you a percentage of every transaction. So every time you take a transaction, say it's £100, they'll charge you somewhere between 0.4 of a penny and 2.5p. And they'll be making as much as they can for you from the terminal and the rates if you're not aware of it. So depending on how much of your business goes through it, it's an easy area you can save money on. Well, the client I'm working for is a retailer. It's quite big. You know the retailer Fat Face? They turn over something like 400 million, and they, you can imagine a huge percentage of their costs. We reduced their merchant card fees by 12%. We've saved Fat Face 3 million this year on various projects. So you'd think that a company like that would have all of this tied up, wouldn't you? And we did all the logistics for them as well, moving their clothes around. Who knows what PCI compliance is when it comes to credit cards?
That's not all good for.
The payment card industry compliant means that you're ensuring that the data you're given, i.e. the credit card details you're given, cannot be shared or stolen. Yeah? So if you take your credit card number over the phone, you read out all the details, expiry date, 3-digit number on the back. If that is written down, kept within the business, you're not compliant. If it's recorded, which you called record, and you don't bleep out their credit card numbers, you're not compliant. You're liable to huge fines if you don't get it right. But there's an easy way to do it, because most of the merchant card companies will give you a PCI compliance audit, and you can pay an extra insurance to cover yourself on it. But if you're not aware of it, you could lose a lot of money. Was that a question or just a stretch there?
Not a stretch.
Okay, good stuff.
That was a scratch my neck.
Yeah. You can use like online direct debit payments to get people to pay you using BACS transfers as well. If you set it up correctly, you can get really good rates. Certainly we can make sure you pay less than the percent of the transaction. I've got direct rates with all of the main providers there, so if you need access to them, I'm sure we can work on it. Corporate banking and finance. Grant looks after all of everyone's money, don't you, in the green room? Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. The green room that I share with the dog.
Corporate banking and finance. Nobody likes paying bank charges. Depending on what finance you've got, good relationships, you don't have to pay as much. You can use your banking clever and be and review it. Depending on the turnover of your transactions and your relationships, challenge your bank manager and challenge them with that you're thinking of switching if they're charging you too much. They'll do something for you. Again, it's like the oil fuel card. Margin here at the beginning, i.e. free banking and low rates. Up here, and you don't want to change because it's hassle. Challenge it. Thinking of changing, what can you do?
It is hassle. It is hassle to change.
Yeah.
But we threaten them with that loads of times. Barclays.
Yeah, and they drops.
Yeah, crack on.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well if you need any help, we'll get you across to Santander or someone else like that. Yeah, probably out for business. Yeah. Government funding. How many people use government funding or apply for government funding? Yeah? Okay, I won't cover that because I know Grant talks to you about that. So. This is the animation bit that I talked about. Fleet management, buying cars and vans, or hiring plant in, and so on. Consider if there's a CITV rate somewhere out there. Consider if someone will give you a group discount for Peugeot vans, Ford vans, whatever it is you might do. Use one of these commercial hire companies rather than buying them. Talk about whether you're going to tie up cash capital, best to lease purchase, finance lease. A lot of it's going to depend whether the vehicle is going to be in good enough condition to return at the end. But again, look at it and understand it. How many people change their insurance broker? Or is it a bit like the bank? You stick with it?
Pretty much.
Pretty much stay where you are?
Yeah. We brought it down last year, so I don't see any reason to go looking anywhere else really. So.
It doesn't take much. Review your insurance at least once every 3 years. That just makes sure the broker is aware that you're switched on and you're prepared to look at it. Because otherwise, they make commission. So they will make anything up to 40% commission on the premium. They don't charge you a fee, do they? No. They'll be making a lot of money. So just say, this year I'm getting another broker involved. bet you get an extra 10%. I mentioned gas there. Is everybody in a contract for the gas and electricity for all their sites? You can get what you call deemed rates, where it just rolls over and you pay what they rolling charges.
I've got a clue.
Right. Deemed rates will be about 25p per unit. Contracted rates can be as low as 9.5p, depending on where the market is for electricity. If you're not sure, check it, because if you're using a lot of energy, you're wasting money. Energy companies care about one thing only, that's their shareholder profits. It's a horrible industry. Again, I'm classed as an aggregator, third-party intermediary stroke aggregator. I've got access to all the wholesale rates. If you're in a contract, I'll tell you how the energy brokers make their money. Energy suppliers give the brokers a base rate for electricity for every single area. The energy brokers then get that rate and uplift it with their commission and sell it to you. And they uplift it for the same amount for every single company. So they'll say to you, which one do you want to choose? Do you want Empower? Do you want E.ON? Do you want EDF? They don't care which one you choose, because they've got the same commission in every single one. Your job is get more than one broker competing, because that's where you get the lower in the commissions that they make. Right. This is watching out for termination deadlines. Make sure you're in a contract and you don't get rolled into deemed contract rates that are uncompetitive. Okay, now this is going on to the discussion subject now. So before we go on to that, any questions around about that? I know I've flown through it really quickly, but if you really understand it, review it, look at it, delegate it. If you don't want to do it yourself, and if you don't know there, I obviously would be happy to talk to any of you about potentially my company looking after it for you. We have a monthly subscription fee and we have a percentage of saving fee, both of which are backed up by a guarantee that we save you more per annum than we charge you. So we make it so that it's a total no-brainer, so it's cost neutral. On average, we save people 6 times more than we charge them.
Can I just say, who at home looks after this stuff? Who looks after your insurance and your banking and your credit cards and your the wife?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at work, it's the rest of the staff.
Yeah.
That work is
My problem with all of this is that I everything I buy, I put the trust and the faith in the first time. I know, unfortunately. So my mobile phone, I go see Rob and say, look, I don't want to go to Carphone Warehouse. You just get me a good deal and tell me what it is. Yeah. When you're broken, I go see Michael for energy and say, look, I don't understand it all. I ain't got time to go through it. Just hope you're going to do me right, you know. And that's the same with everything I buy, which is a problem, I suppose.
It's not a problem because it works for you. Because the one thing is, if you're happy with what you pay for it, then it's a good deal.
You've got to go for a reference because I
make a living out of it, and I've got a company based on the fact that I'm prepared to do all of that negotiation. I've been doing it for 30 years. I wanted to be a professional footballer and a fireman. Yeah, I was crap at football and I failed the eye test, so I had to do something else to be a fireman. I've ended up, from a salesperson, to just being a business negotiator. I'm called a procurement side. I rely on people not having time to do it and outsourcing it to me. And I kind of packaged it so that it works. I know exactly what it should be for a mobile phone. I know exactly how much a box of paper should be. Because
that's what I do. I'm relying on whoever sells me out.
Yeah, but me and my team, we're doing this all day, every day, for clients all over the country. So I know what the good prices are. If you get someone in your business to do it, they're only going to know it when they have to do it. So if it's once a year, once every 2 years, they'll do the research and know it. If you do it through someone like me, and you say, I need a laptop, you tell us the spec you want, we've got wholesale arrangements in place, we go to them, we get a good price. And you can trust us to do it. But you pay us to do it. That's where we make our money. I don't deny or hide the fact that I want to make a profit every month so I can afford to run the business. Yeah, absolutely. I don't hide that. I make my money, I agree a price, everyone's happy with it, I guarantee I save more, we all crack on. We have a beer, we go and play golf. Happy to talk to anyone if they want to work with me on it. If not, this is going to be on the website. You have the hints and tips. If anyone wants to drop me an email every now and then just saying, Simon, what would you do here? I'm not going to charge you for that. I'll answer every email and I'll help you where I can. And if you come across anybody who might need my services, just give me a shout and I might pass it on. I say it as it is. I've been in Yorkshire for 21 years. You can probably tell by the accent I wasn't born here. I've been up here 21 years now. I've learned I say it as it is. It either gets me somewhere or it don't. And at the end of the day, I speak well. I've got a good life out of it. So thanks for listening to that. If there's any questions, ask. And then I'll move on to the discussion subject, which is kind of new. I've not done this before.
John, when I met Simon over 6 weeks ago, Simon brought up something about having a materials hub where actually we could use the power of the group, the buying power of the group, to help you buy materials better. So I'm going to let you talk about it and talk about the concept because he knows more about it than me.
One of the other reasons I got into procurement is because I'm a type bastard and I don't like getting ripped off. At the end of the day, I'll shop
Nobody
those.
does. Nobody does.
No, why would they? I don't mind people making fair margin out of me because I understand they need to make a profit in order to live. But I don't like people making excessive profit from me. So I shop around and I look at it. So I've got a website already within the director that my team use. So if you ask for paper, I go in there and it shows me all of the suppliers and their prices. So I'm constantly seeing them bidding for it. But it's not such as a portal that have it. But I find when I was speaking to Grant this time ago, I came up with this idea as to whether it would work, would be have a single hub, which it could be a website, or it could be an app on your phone, or it could be anything at the moment because it's concepts. Yeah, no one's developing anything at the moment. But you will buy materials, the site, when you do it. It could be timber, it could be just general consumables that you get from screw figs, it could be anything really. Do you always go to the same place to get it, or do you?
Pretty much.
Sometimes we're told where to get it from because it's one floor tiling, you know.
So it's pre-specified in the...
Will say, specify that.
Well, like if you quote for a big house builder like Barracks, they'll say you have to use British chips and products, and our preferred supplier is SRG.
Right.
So,
but do you have to use it, or you have to use a specified product, but not necessarily the supplier?
We do because it's what's going to. It's a finished product. It's on the wall. It's on the bathroom.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah. Okay, but there'll be other instances where maybe the adhesive that you'll use to stick it on the wall might be different. But I suppose the point I'm getting is that there's multiple product lines that you buy, and you'll either buy from the supplier you've always known, because you've always known them and always done it, or you'll buy from someone you're told to buy from. My idea was potentially to have a hub where we would come up with a database of all of the products you could possibly buy, which is a job in itself, but we come up with this database of products that you all buy and have a unique product code. And then in the background, what I would do is the same that I've done with the other area, is I would find all of the potential suppliers for these products and negotiate fixed pricing based on a CITB membership, combining all of the volumes. So if you buy 100 of something and you buy 50 and you buy 200, we've got 350 units to tender for rather than 150 or 100, and therefore get better pricing on it. But what I'll do is continually tender, so all of these suppliers are constantly putting their best price on there, every week, every month, or whatever we do. But then on this hub, you'd register on that hub, and you'd order it. Once it gets delivered, you'd accept delivery, and then you'd just get one invoice from the materials hub at the end of each month, and then the materials hub would pay the suppliers, and then you would just do a streamlined process, and you would just pay 7 days later from your invoice, so everything happens. But rather than you having to think about who's the best supplier for British gypsum or the best supplier for nails or screws or whatever it might be, it's just all done for you there. I just wondered, let's say it was just an idea, and I just wanted some discussion on it really, as to what your thoughts might be.
I don't know about yours, Kenny, but I think ours probably might be a bit more bespoke because we've been using one supplier for about 14 years now.
Right.
We spend about 120 to 150,000 pounds a year with them, and we do get really good rates. And I don't know how you would actually come in, approach them and get a better rate than what we do. and I know that we are getting.
I don't know whether I could, because I've not looked at it, and I don't even know the products you buy. There's been a few occasions in the past when I've got involved in negotiations and saved a few percent, but not enough to justify a change. An example I have had with is Jiffy bags. You know the Music Magpie?
Yeah.
The annoying advert with Burger. Yeah. Whenever you agree to sell, they send you a Jiffy bag in a bespoke shape to send your goods back in. Well, we phoned up Jiffy on behalf of Music Magpie and reduced their cost by 55% just by saying we're taking this out to tender to various other suppliers of similar sized bags. Do you want to provide pre-tender pricing before we do it? They'd obviously ripping them off because they just dropped the pricing by 50%. So I really do hope you've got fantastic pricing, and it sounds like you probably have, because it seems like you really switched on there. But until we look at a project, we just don't know what you can do. Some of the negotiation, when I go to the office supplies companies in the first place, we did £8.5 million worth of pens and pencils last year. They talked to us and they listened to us and they said, well look, we're thinking of tendering this product to get it through someone. We've got 200, 300 grand to this supplier here, but we're looking at, how many members of the CITV are there?
78,000.
We're looking at 78,000 potential customers. What can you do?
Would this just be for building materials, and this won't be like stationery and stuff?
It could be everything. It could be everything.
That's a good idea. It's some added value to membership there, definitely.
And I think it's something that we can sell to the CITV and get them to fund it, because it's something that will benefit the trade as a whole. So I know you were saying about your tile supplier, but I don't know how many tilers there are in the UK. If there's 10,000 tilers, all of a sudden that changes the relationship between
The only
you
thing
and
with that grant is obviously 10,000 tilers will all prefer to use maybe 10,000 different products because they like to use that product. You know, all my lads like to use the one that we buy. We can get cheaper adhesive. We know we can get cheaper adhesive.
Yeah, but the point is you might still get the same adhesive. But if 10,000 tilers are all saying we want to use that adhesive, and rather than you negotiating on behalf of GNTC and somebody else on behalf of ABC and DEF, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All of a sudden we've got one place that's negotiating and saying there's 10,000 tilers here who all want to buy that adhesive. What
You don't have to change your adhesive.
No.
The idea is the database on there is that if we get 10,000 tilers saying, and we come up with it, there's 9 different adhesives, it might be 90, I don't know, we have to put all of those on the database, and then you choose what you buy. No one's going to dictate what you buy. What we're going to do is dictate the potential out there. So if you see your one on there for £10 a tub, and then there's another one on there for £2 a tub, you might say, I want to try one of those £2 tubs, and you might buy a tub and just give it a try. And then if it's crap, you don't use it. It's giving you choice. I'm not interested in dictating to anybody what to do. My job is to give people choice.
Yeah.
And but the whole idea of the hub is to give you choice, centralise it, and I'm obviously going to try and work out a way I can make some money out of it as well. But if I save you 10%, but I keep 2% of it, you're still 8% better on.
It does sound like a good idea. Like you said, for utilities and insurance, fuel
cards.
You know, if you can get everybody to
in a way, it pre-qualifies it, doesn't it? Because at the minute, when I make a purchase, I go, God knows, we'll pick that one. Whereas if we did it through something like this, at least you've got a little bit of a safety net. You think somebody else has already looked at that. Somebody else has already done the work that I'm not going to get rid of. I'm not paying more than I should do.
Absolutely.
That's
the idea.
Yeah. See, I'm happy to go and talk to CITV about it in terms of even just for the construction network. The CITV have already tried to, with the way they're doing the training now with approved training organisations, they've tried to do some of that. But actually, they've probably not looked at the charges. They've just asked training organisations to register. Well, what we can do through this is take it to that next step. So the training organisations are now will have to price. So actually at the moment, if you want to do, say, IPAF, you go and send somebody, you go and find your approved training provider, and they go, oh, it might be one Sheffield, Wakefield, whatever it is, and they say, it's going to cost you £300, right? Now actually there could be another one somewhere around the corner that might be 250 quid, but because that's the one you've always used, that's the one you've always used. So what the CITB aren't doing is they're only asking them to register, they're not asking them to prove the pricing. You've still got that choice. Now what we can do with this is say, you can register, oh, and by the way, we've got 78,000 CITB registered organisations here. What are you going to do? Right?
When it comes to the portal or the website, I know that quite well as well because of this. You could turn around and say, if there's only 10 products you want to buy, you could just have a core list of your 10 products, and that's all it shows. So there might be 10,000 products in there, but each individual user can just customise it so they only look at the products that they require. So if you are buying just 3 or 4 different things that you need for your particular job, then that's all that's on there.
Yeah.
But you get to site, and then you realise that you're going to be 2 tubs short, or whatever it is, you just go on there.
But everybody will use as fuel.
Yeah.
Everybody uses fuel, don't they?
Workwear, I just bought one of these t-shirts, what cheapest, and just went, oh, we'll just go with that one.
Yeah, because it's slightly insignificant, because if you're buying like 5 t-shirts, and you pay £2 too much, then you've lost a tenner. So you'd be annoyed if you dropped a tenner, you'd be annoyed, wouldn't you? So the whole idea is combine volume. I know how to make it all work. It's not something that happened overnight. But I want to see if people are interested
in some areas.
Flash drive speed is a lot of working for.
Yeah.
There's only 3 manufacturers in the country.
Yeah.
And they're selling, majority of it, selling it to 5 distributors. And them distributors, apparently, are selling to us at cost.
Yeah.
For door to works for one of them.
Yeah.
Right? Because they just get rebates back at the end of the year.
Yeah.
As a builder, and we're doing 10 million a year, I've not got the buying power that Barrett's have, or Colmore Tang that's doing 110 million.
Exactly.
Yeah, but then if we've got
CITB combined.
but then if we've got 20 of you type of organisations where you can't actually negotiate as a single buyer, but having 20 other buyers, then you're equivalent to let's say Barrett.
Power in numbers.
It's the power of numbers. It's the power of the group.
Spot on. That's exactly what it is. That's how I achieve things through the power of number. It might not work for certain product lines. You're absolutely right. At this stage, it was a concept and idea. If nobody's interested in it, then I'm not going to do any work on it. If it sounds like we could take it to an experimental stage and see how it could work.
I just think as a member, it's a benefit. It's a huge member benefit. Do you know what I mean? Even if we're taking it to work with and other stuff.
Even if even if you couldn't bespoke it for things like you said, plasterboard or whatever, because it wouldn't work out that you get it any cheaper, then it's worth it for things like fuel cards, and insurance, and
the whole point is that we make sure we're transparent in what we do. Because if we turn around and someone puts a plasterboard in, we just say, I've been unable to negotiate any group discounts there. You can buy it through us at this price, or do what you want. It's just, I'm not interested in saying, I say it as it is, and I want everything I do to be as it is, so everybody knows what's going on. You said it's the fear of the unknown, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know.
If you don't know you're getting ripped off, then you either deal with it, get on with it, or you always think about am I getting ripped off. Anyway, I think I've probably given too much.
That's good. Thanks for that. Anybody any more questions for Simon? No?
no, that's all very good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Simon. I just think, as I say, even though for the indirect stuff Simon talked about, to be able to get that buy-in power of the group, because you're being hit on site all the time for need to reduce your margin, need to reduce your prices. If we can help you save some internally, that means that you've got some hidden profit there that you can stick in your pocket that the guys on site can't screw up for you. I'm on the bet.
Yeah.
Okay, just to kind of finish off, there's a couple of things I wanted to have just to talk about. What what you've got in front of you are some cards. I've talked to all of you about the incentive scheme. It's still ongoing. And so if somebody comes along with, like, so one of these that has your name in it, give you 100 quid. You only need to sign up 4 members and you've got a free membership. The other thing is we're actually launching the Leeds group next week. So if you want to come on to that, your membership's covered. You can come to as many groups as you like. We're also looking at a couple in, let's say, North Yorkshire, and Dale and I had a conversation with somebody last week about having one in Manchester. So we're getting interest. It'd be nice to try and get an audience, but that's great that you guys come on and support it. But the incentive is there for you, and we'll do that. Okay.
What's the date and time for Leeds Grant?
Same time, next Friday, rework in Leeds, 1:30. We're having a launch. We've got quite a lot of interest in it, but again, it'll depend on the weather and who actually rocks up on the day. Rework's a really good place to have it. They do second-hand office, like the furniture, so if you're thinking of moving or you need anything,
I can put new cabinets.
pick up your new cabinets. There you go, Kenny. Sorted. And as I say, your membership covers all of it. Won't charge you any extra for coming to any of the other groups, and you might just pick up some other contacts.
Can you send us an email with address on?
I'll do that. I will do that. Last month I talked about the vision and like the values, and what I've had this week is loads of conversation about recruitment and how we bring people on board. And what tends to happen is your vision and values only work if you recruit people properly. And recruitment and induction and advertising only ever starts at recruitment. You should start it right there. You should start talking about your vision and values from right from the get-go. Because what happens is, and I've had various conversations this week with, I've spent 2 hours at the golf course yesterday talking to a guy about exactly this topic, who have a revolving door of guys coming and say, oh yeah, I'm a great electrician, yeah, I'm fantastic. And then say 6 weeks later when they've screwed something up and I've chucked them out the door. And so what I'm talking about here is induction begins at the advert stage. So what are we inducting for? Because the thing we talked about a couple of months ago was about targets. So, and it's about how much you want people to earn versus how much they think they need to earn. Because if somebody only needs to earn 500 quid a week, because I can pay me bills and I can pay me mortgage and I can pay me rent and I have a few beers at the weekend, that's all they're ever going to want to do. And sometimes what happens is you guys are highly driven to be better, I want to do this, I want to achieve this, I want the company to look like this, right? And we need people coming through that actually share that they want to grow with you. And sometimes what happens is, as I say there, it's a bit like Groundhog Day. I'm going to come on, I'm going to put some tiles on a wall, I'm going to put some plasterboard on a wall, I'm going to carpet a floor, and I'm going to do the same tomorrow. And it's about showing them that it doesn't have to be like that. It's about telling them about what's coming in the future. I did some work for it's a scaffolding company 3 weeks ago, where we actually had all the guys, all the site guys around the table here, and we talked to them about where the company was going. New jobs, new opportunities. I want somebody to estimate. I want a transport manager. They're actually sat in this room. No, that was them. I mean, like, not here. I'm not asking. It's like you're going to be an estimator, transport manager. But we actually said to them that those 2 individuals could be sat in this room. We don't necessarily have to go out. You know, and we talked about it doesn't have to be an age thing. It has to be if you're like good enough. And so all the things we talked about is it's what's in it for them. And I'll give you a prime example. I did some work years ago over a company up over in Whitby, and they were a kitchen installation company. And the guy that owned it was the highest paid van driver in East Riding, because he couldn't get anybody to go and do the deliveries. He tried the labourer, and I said I'd really like labourer to do it, but he won't let me drive. Why? He says he thinks he's doing it for me. So I actually said to him, so what's his lifestyle out of the business then? I don't know what you mean. I said, well, what's the things he likes to do? Well, he's got a girlfriend, she's expecting a baby. He's a season ticket holder at Blackburn Rovers. This was probably when Blackburn Rovers were good, right? But, and he said, he's going to have to give up his season ticket because he can't get over to Blackburn. He can't go over to Blackburn on a Saturday to actually make the game, and he can't get back from Blackburn. So he has to travel on a Friday night, then stop at his mates, and he stops at his mates on Saturday night and comes back on Sunday. And then he's been told that he'll have to give that up. So I said, so what would learning to drive do for him then? Well, he could drive over. I could give him the van, and he could go over in the van. And so that was a discussion we had, that actually you don't have to give up your season ticket. You learn to drive, we'll both benefit from it. And sometimes you have to find out what's in it for them. So what are the things they want to do with their life that will make it better? If you only ever want to earn 500 quid, guess what? All you'll ever earn. And therefore, are you the fit for my business? Because we don't want people like that. We want people to have the lifestyle that they want to have. But until you ask those questions, you're never going to find out. You're never really going to know. And so we can assume they come with skills. We can assume if they're a plasterer, they can plasterboard, they can dab and dot and dab, they can lay carpet. But it's about finding out about their attitude. What's their attitude to come and do the work? What's their attitude to get up at 5:30 in the morning to go somewhere for 8 o'clock? Because if they're only ever going to want to rock up at 8 o'clock or like whenever, have a slow drive down to London. Yes, Mark?
Yep.
Yep, have a slow drive down to London, which is only ever going to annoy your client. We need to help them to understand that actually their life doesn't have to be like that. And that you can be the best tiler, but actually, you know something, if you only want to earn 500 a week, you're not for us. Because we want guys with attitude. And if you've got attitude, we'll help you to achieve those lifestyle choices you want to make. And so that's what I get to think about. Have an induction program that you take them through and you check. Because have you ever had anybody come to an interview and say they're going to be crap? No. Nobody will be Gerard Ratner. If you remember Gerard Ratner? I sell shit. Within about 3 weeks his business had closed down. He was a jeweller then.
Yeah.
It used to be him and H.S. Samuel in the High Street. And he was at a business lunch and he said, we sell shit. And he closed the business down, right? Same with anybody that rocks up for a job, they're not going to tell you they're going to be crap. But what you need is a good induction process that will help them to get the attitude to learn the things you want them to learn and the ways you want to go about it, you to check it. So what will we expect them to do after week 1? What will you expect them to be able to do after month 1, month 2, month 3? And that applies to subcontractors as well as employees. Because it's about, if I can get you on my wavelength, and help you to achieve the things you want to achieve, we'll all achieve together. And that's sometimes what we don't do because we're too busy trying to find out if they can carpet fit. And you can train skills, you cannot train attitude. Somebody has it or they don't. And it's a case of, well actually, he's got a brilliant attitude, might not be the best tiler or plasterer or carpet fitter or painter and decorator, but can I make him that? Then, I apologise ladies. Okay, so what I get you to think about going forward is if we're going to bring people in, how are we going to go about bringing them in? What are we going to do that's different? What different questions are we going to ask? Because sometimes we get let down with people that rock up and say, I can do this and I'll do that for you, and you'll say, okay then, that's great. Ask them when they've done that. Ask them to give you an example. Ask them to tell you when you've done that. And how did you do it and what did you learn? The one good thing about them answering a question is there's always another question to ask after the question. Because what tends to happen is you iceberg. Everybody know what I mean by iceberg? You know what I mean from a sales aspect. You only go down to the waterline. You know, I'm happy with that. And actually you need to get right down to because all the danger is under the water and you can't see it. Okay, that's my rant over for the afternoon. Thanks very much. Okay, next month we've got a guy coming in, Samuel Lee, who's a mental health first aider.
He'll have his work cut out in this room, won't
I brought him in, Matt, with you particularly in mind.
Looking forward to meeting him. Yeah.
Because actually, some of the problems you've got, I don't know if you know about the 6 and the 16%. Do you know about the 6 and 16%? The 6 and 16% are, and you might not like this, that 6% of your staff will be lesbian, gay or bisexual. 16% of them will have some kind of disability. And what Sam's going to come and talk to you about is helping you to identify what those might be.
The 6%.
I'm not sure I want to fucking know.
Well, you see, nobody does, that's the problem. But actually, if it helps you manage them better and differently,
They all think I'm 100% mental.
well, we know that.
You're the 16% then.
Okay,
I think you've got to be mental to run your own business.
well, we're going to get a beer.
Yeah, psychotic.
I honestly think it will be a good session next month because it'll help you to identify where, especially when you've got them walking off site or when there's something that's driven that.
I did last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did.